Welcome to the Sanity Project podcast, where you can awaken your mind to clarity and success even in today's life challenges. We're here to provide insights and solutions that will help you live a sane, healthy, and prosperous life. Here's your host, Joanne Victoria.
Hello, everybody. This is Joanne Victoria with another amazing episode of the Sanity Project podcast. The Sanity Project podcast is a place to discover a life of clarity, confidence, and success. Today's guest, Miha Matlievski, yes, is an interesting human being because he is telling his truth for all of you to learn. It's the only way that any of you can learn is by hearing other people tell their truth. And Miha's truth, I will let him go on further, but I wanted to say that he had 4 companies go bankrupt overnight in 2009, landing him $5 million in debt. Contemplating suicide to escape the pain, as he looked over the balcony, he had a life-saving aha moment. Miha, what was your life-saving aha moment?
Hey, Joanne.
Hi.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your podcast. And I'm really thankful and grateful that you are allowing me, to share the story with your listeners.
I'm glad that you're here because I love people who tell their truth.
Thank you. So the aha moment, I have to back up just a little bit. So in my childhood, I had the most perfect childhood where everything was just given to me. Nobody was holding me accountable. I could never do anything wrong. I was constantly told how amazing and great and beautiful and smart and all of that I am. It's very important for the aha moment. And then, when I was on the balcony, that was in spring of 2010, on the other side of the fence, holding myself with just my left hand, and I was already half inclined over the edge. And so the first thing was when I looked down, because I was only on the 5th floor, was, will I do this right? Because, ending up on a wheelchair will not solve that nuclear reaction waiting to burst in my head and inside of me from all the depression and anxiety and the pain and so on. If you're on 20th floor, that's a no-brainer. But 5th floor, you can actually, stay alive. And in that moment, it's almost like I split into 2 Mihas, and one Miha was shouting at the other Miha, and I used some very juicy words, which I will not repeat here on your podcast. But it was, along the lines, you made this mistake, you signed this, you decided this, you went for this, and so on. And the magical thing was hearing myself the word you, because, that childhood, how, everybody was treating me, I could do nothing wrong. I always found something or somebody to blame whenever I messed up something. Whenever something didn't went the way I wanted, I always found somebody to blame or something to blame. And, in 2009, it was very easy to find blame outside of you. The recession, the economy, the government, this, that. It was so easy. And it was that moment of really, for the first time in my life, owning not just the good, but also the bad and the ugly. That was kind of the aha moment, or the aha moment before the aha moment, because the real aha moment was when it hit me, still on the balcony, still inclined over. Oh, if I did it once, and with all those mistakes, if I change and do things differently, I can do it again and I can do it better. Because, before that moment on the balcony, there were months of darkness within me, months of depression, anxiety, stress, all of that. I saw no light whatsoever. I was always a fighter when there is something to fight for. But in those months, I lost any sight of anything worth fighting for, because I just accepted that this is my new reality. I used all the good times, and this is it for the rest of my life. This is how it's gonna be. And that moment, or those 2 moments of owing my past mistakes, but then realizing that it's me who can change something, opened up that little ray of light. And it was enough, for me to start fighting again, to climb back in and start fighting again. And it wasn't an easy fight. I make sure that I always say this, because often in the beginning, when I was doing these interviews, I was not mentioning this specifically, and people thought, oh, so you had the aha moment, you climbed back in, you made the list, and then now everything was just, up and upwards. But no, like it was 3.5, 4 years of battling with myself, constant battle between old Miha, old habits, old things popping up, and who I'm transforming into. So it was a hell of a ride. It wasn't a smooth ride. It was a hell of a ride.
Well, people looking from the outside always think it's like watching a movie that your aha, the other aha, that, once you made up your mind, it was magical. No, you still had to go through the suffering and pain on the way back up.
Oh, yes. And oh boy, it wasn't easy. It really wasn't. But at least, I had that little light that was becoming little by little stronger and stronger and stronger. So there was always something worth fighting for.
Yes. I remember for myself, when I was younger, I had my children to fight for. When things changed, I had to find something else to fight for. Now I fight for me. And I'm sure you do as well. And
yes.
You fight for yourself and how you can help others. Because that's what you do. You help others embrace their failure. And I think that young people don't know, well, number one, they don't know failure, really, because you have to create something in order to fail at it. And they don't know how to come back and climb back on the horse, as they used to say. Get back up on the horse again. So, and I don't know, I mean, you're no longer 25, so you've had experiences. And
yes, of course.
Yes, you've had a life to lead, and you had things to draw on and maybe look forward to climb back up again. So what do you think was the hardest thing in embracing your own failure and coming back? I mean, did you experience the same physical, spiritual, and emotional pain that you felt when you were on that balcony?
I mean, one thing was, the why. In the beginning, it was, the pain was to actually pay that money back. I owed $5 million, and that wasn't just going away, because I'm from Europe, and here in Europe, we have a little bit more stricter laws on personal bankruptcy. And if your companies go bankrupt, and in that bankruptcy, you can't pay paychecks and taxes, which obviously you can't do, otherwise you wouldn't go bankrupt. Mm-hmm. You can't do personal bankruptcy. So that was like something that was hanging over my head all the time. And it was that pain that was, motivating me to move forward and to do, and to because calls from people and all of that. But then later, as I created that startup and I made the money and I repaid it, it was the feeling that I started getting from helping people. And I kind of this wasn't an intentional thing, for me to go, oh, now I want to become a coach or an advisor. It really was when I exited my last startup. I had a very successful exit by a Fortune 100 company that, did a technology takeover. So I can't share too much because of the NDAs, but it was a very successful. And at that moment, I could retire and just, not do anything at all. And just, travel the world. And I did that. I went on a long vacation. And after a few days of partying and having fun, I opened an app on my phone, Meetup. because I had to be, surrounded by fellow entrepreneurs. It's really who I became during that time of entrepreneurship. And, I can't just go days of talking about politics and the weather and this and that. I need to be surrounded by fellow entrepreneurs. And, you go to meetups, and of course you have to introduce yourself. You have to share a little bit about your story. And, when people heard how much I had before the failure, because back then my net worth was around 15 million US. And then what a massive failure I had. And then this whole climb back, and then my last startup and the success with that one, of course, fellow entrepreneurs. Oh, how do you, do business development? How do you prepare for exit? How do you scale? How do you this? How do you that? And, I was just helping people and helping people and helping people. And the more I did that, the more I truly felt like a billionaire on the inside. And I just knew that, this is something that I absolutely love and has become like a part of my life. This is really not work or what I do. It's I don't know, a hobby or a passion, or I don't know how to call this, but it's really just something that I absolutely love doing. And that's how I fell into the whole coaching business.
Well, it's who you are. You bring who you are and your truth to the table.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that that's what's really important, because to me, that's the most authentic and true way of being, whatever titles there are, coaches, consultants, all of this stuff. You're a teacher, and you teach people how to succeed in life by embracing what goes wrong in their life.
Yes. And I mean, to answer your question, because I do, in the past, I now worked with, I don't know, over 3,500 people for sure, if not even more, in different ways. And I worked with, young people just out of college, and older people, 60, 70 years old, and anything in between. And it's a different approach because, somebody who experienced a lot, it's a different approach how you guide them on that journey. And when you're dealing with somebody who hasn't experienced much yet, and they haven't experienced any pain, you have to approach it in different ways. So I always kind of like do this assessment in the beginning, or I call it the due diligence, to see where somebody is. And I'm not the best fit for everybody. So when I see that, I know how to help best when people have gone through pain. So that's where I really know how to do it. So when I see people who haven't gone, who, everything was provided for them and so on, and they haven't experienced any pain yet, they aren't motivated by anything because they have they're full of everything. I don't really know how to, I've tried a few times, but it was very challenging.
It is, isn't it?
They were just okay with where they were. And that's very hard. And I always tell people, if you don't push your life forward and upwards, life will make sure to start give you little lessons and then bigger lessons, and just waiting for you to figure out, oh, this is a bit of pain, I better do something. And then, if you are really thick-headed the way I was, it gives you a whole lot of failure for you to figure out, oh, I really need to do things differently. I really need to change. So it's just a matter of time when you will hit that pain point that will change something within you. And some people are really, they're magicians of how they can tell stories to themselves that they actually buy
their own story. I'm sorry, that is so perfect because it's so correct. That's what people do all the time.
to stay in that comfort zone, which is smaller and smaller and smaller, but they still find a way to kind of, stay in it. And they just never, they never find that ultimate threshold of pain to actually move, but rather they just adopt to ever smaller comfort zone.
Yeah.
So some people are really magicians at that.
Well, I think they don't realize, because they're not looking at the big picture, they're not standing back and looking at it. It takes as much work to maintain a small life and never move forward and never expand than it does to move forward and maybe feel the pain, but the pain propels you as well. But it takes as much energy to stay in that one spot and keep that one room in the house, that one little house in the city, in that one little city, where you don't move, that one little town, to keep that so self-contained. That's a lot of work.
Yes. And the thing is, with comfort zone, I mean, it doesn't stay at the same level of comfort. It actually goes down. It's smaller and smaller and smaller. But some people, they're really good at adopting to that, and they just go through life like that. And I mean, there's really, I believe that, I can't help somebody who hasn't made that decision to actually change something and actually started doing something. I have to see that there were at least a little tries, attempts, steps done before they come to me. Otherwise, if they're just talking but not doing anything, that will be very hard. Or, during our initial conversation, I always give them at least one actionable step that they can do right away, that it will change their life a little bit. Like a little step won't change it a little bit, but little by little comes big changes. But they have to do something. And if they don't do anything, well, I don't know how to help a person like that. I don't think anybody can.
No. I'm thinking when you're saying this, it's, you give them some, what I'll call homework or an assignment. And if people don't want to take assignments, I can't work with them. I just get that out of the way right away. If they don't want to be contributing to their own life, why should I make their life better for them without them being involved? It doesn't even make any sense.
I mean, I understand that maybe it's also that, I'm not the best fit for them. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe, a few days from our call, or a few months or a few years, they will see somebody on YouTube who will speak more of their language.
Sure. And,
will move them. So, we also have to understand that we are, we can't be a good fit for everybody as coaches, consultants, teachers, and so on as well. So, maybe they need somebody else to tell them something, and they will say, oh, wow, this is what I needed. So, as long as they find something like that, that's cool. But I've seen people who never find this at all. And one of them was actually my grandma. Mm-hmm. And because of her, I think for me, the biggest thing for me was always freedom. Because, and she gave me the best fear ever, fear of regret. I think that's one of the good fears. Or probably the only good fear, because she was so full of regrets, and she was always doing things that others were saying, and so on, and had no freedom at all. So as much as I hated her while I was growing up, we really didn't go along. But I really have to be thankful to her. Because she created these beliefs and these fears in me that actually were very good.
Yeah, you're talking about your grandmother. I'm thinking of my mother's mother, my Polish grandmother, how she was a tough woman. People didn't like her very much, but they didn't realize how much she gave up to live her life. She gave up things that she shouldn't have had to. And that made her angry and mean and controlling and silent all at the same time. And everybody was afraid of her. But I look at her now, recently actually, and I realize that, she gave up herself. She just gave up herself because of her husband's idea of a new life. And that's something that I'm remembering because I don't want to do that. I don't want to give up myself any more than I already have up to this point. And I've done that quite a bit. So, you're talking about your grandmother and dealing with her, the fear of regret. That's a big fear.
Yes, but it's a good one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it encompasses everything. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. If I had done this, that could have happened. We can't go back. All we can do is go forward with whatever new information we have. And if the fear of regret, like if I don't take some action, nothing's going to change. You have to take action. You have to create some sort of a plan and move forward.
Yeah, and the thing is that, to truly live through the fear of regret, the one thing that, you can't have then is the fear of failure, fear of the unknown. So to be able to live the life without regrets, you also need to establish and develop healthy relationship with failure.
Well, that's what you're all about, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
But how to embrace failure as opposed to ignore it.
Yes. I mean, often I'm asked, since, my title is the fail coach. Everybody knows me by that. And often I'm asked, so, okay, Miha, now you're the fail coach. Does that mean that, you don't fail? And I say, no, it's the opposite. I fail a lot. I mean, I'm scared if I don't fail for a few days because that means that I'm really slacking off.
You're not. Yeah.
I just understand failure from a very different perspective. Because you can't achieve success without failure. And if you want to accomplish big things, you have to push yourself out of comfort zone all the time. And what does it mean to be out of the comfort zone? Well, it's you doing things for the first, second, third time. Once you do something for 20 times, it becomes your new comfort zone, So when you're doing things for the first time, it's much more likely that you will fail than succeed. And it's then really having that healthy relationship with failure, which is very simple. It's a logical relationship. It must not be emotional relationship. When you have the logical relationship, you bounce back immediately, and then you just focus not on what you failed, but what the process was before the failure. Because the problem is always in the process. And it's either you did wrong steps or you had bottlenecks and you didn't saw them. And so basically you just have to go back to the process and figure out whether you were doing some wrong steps. I mean, if I give a very super simple example. So let's say I want to lose 10 pounds in the next 30 days. If I go to McDonald's every day, well, I'm going to add 20, not lose 10. So that would be, doing the wrong steps. And then at the end of the month, I would be, oh my God, the God doesn't want me to lose weight. Well, no, like you going to McDonald's, that's the thing. And the second thing the bottlenecks would be, I am eating healthy, but maybe, every day I eat 20 bananas and 5 salads and I don't know, so I'm eating healthy food per se, but my calorie intake is doubled from what I would have to put in, and I'm not exercising at all. So that would be like, bottlenecks. And so it's either bottlenecks or wrong steps. And then if you can't figure it out by yourself, find somebody who can help you. There's plenty of experts, coaches, teachers, mentors, masterminds, whatever out there. When you come close to the end of, your brainstorming powers and what you can figure out and what Google can help you with or YouTube, just go find somebody who can help you overcome either those wrong steps and show you what are the right steps, or who can help you find the bottlenecks and eliminate them.
There's always some information available. As you said, you gave them the directions. So what can you tell a person right now if you met a stranger? What would you say to a person if they said, they heard you at a networking event or a business meeting, talk about your own failures, talk about your own personal losses and your emotional issues, touching on them as much as you would choose to in that kind of an environment, and if they said, how did you do it, what would you tell them?
You either need to reach the point of pain, or you need an insanely strong why. Those are the only two things. If you're in between, so your life is not good enough but not bad enough, it's very hard. If you're in that comfy zone, so either you need an insane why that really moves you, and not the Miss Universe type of thing, which most entrepreneurs, I want to save the world.
Oh yeah, whatever.
It sounds good, but I'm not against it. Of course, yes, we should all do as much as possible to help animals, help children, and so on, and developing countries, and I'm all for it. But if your why, when you speak about it, or when you share it, if you don't get goosebumps, it's not big enough. It won't motivate you, and the first obstacle that you will see, it will be, this is not for me. Maybe I'm not meant for this. You either need to have, but it's very hard to have that insane why. Most of the time we are more motivated by pain. Why? Because pain is already something we know. That why might be something in a very distant future, something that, I don't know. Let's say you want to do something very noble. You want to help all the children in the world. Well, you need insane amount of money for that. And if right now you're just used to making a few $1,000s a month, it's very hard to connect with the idea that you can be a billionaire. So it's very hard to connect with that why, because it's something that you haven't tried yet. Now, that's why often, or most often, pain is the bigger motivator, because it's something that we already experienced. If we lived in a bubble like I did all my childhood, then you don't even know what pain is, and then neither pain nor why, nothing motivates you.
Well, pain has levels, so you had to reach a $5 million level before you really felt it. And for those of you who are listening, pain also means you're alive. And it's something to pay attention to. If you're not feeling any pain, you don't need any help. As Miha just said, you need a big thing to make you move forward. It's not just talk. It should be more action than talk. I want to thank Miha for being here today. This has been a great tutorial, masterclass, shall we say. Matlievski, Miha Matlievski is here today. And I would strongly suggest, as I usually do, is to re-listen to this podcast with a paper, with a notepad and a pen, and take notes. If you want to reach Miha, go to fail.coach, or you can go to frameworkforfreedom.com. That's framework and the number 4freedom.com. And you will also have an opportunity to have a free brainstorming session with Miha there. It's on his website at frameworkfornumericfreedom.me. Oh, that's another website. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just frameworkforfreedom.com takes you to Teachable, where we host our program, and frameworkforfreedom.me takes you to Calendly, where you can book your next brainstorming session with me.
There you go, people. I don't know what more you can ask for from somebody who's been through it all, emotionally, spiritually, financially, physically, who had to climb back up in a more complex situation than the USA makes it for us, and did it. Came out the other side, is doing quite well, and he is a teacher. He is a master teacher wanting to help you if you want to be helped. Frameworkforfreedom.com will take you to frameworkforfreedom.me, and I want to thank Miha for being here today. It's been informational. It's been moving. It's been, I loved it.
Well, thank you, Joanna. And again, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be your guest and to share this with your audience. And hopefully they will find it valuable.
Oh, I know they will. If they don't, then they don't understand. I mean, they just don't get it. That's all I can say. If they don't get it. And they wouldn't get it from anyone. If they can't get what you're saying, your stories, your experiences, and how you're able to help people, I don't know where they're going to get it. For those of you who want to get some stuff at my website at askjoannevictoria.com, you can get a free book, download a free book called The True Self Handbook, A Guide to Transform Your Life. And a free report, not large, just big enough, 5 steps to life work harmony. So I want to thank Miha for being here today. And after you've listened to this podcast, people, go to Apple and iTunes and give him a rave review. Thanks very much, everybody, and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you again.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Sanity Project podcast. Please go to AskJoanneVictoria.com to listen to more podcasts. Check out Joanne's coaching programs and get a free copy of her report, 5 Steps to Achieve Life-Work Harmony. That's AskJoanneVictoria.com. Take care, and thanks for being here.